Chechen-born Swede Khamzat Chimaev underscored his glowing reputation with a first-round knockout of the experienced Gerald Meerschaert in Las Vegas. Can anyone stop the Wolf in his pursuit of UFC gold? Chimaev carved out a unique slice of UFC history in the bout, becoming the quickest fighter to register 3 wins in the organization in his 17-second destruction of Meerschaert, and in the process adding further ballast to the reputation he forged with just 2 wins in just 10 days on Fight Island this past summer. Incredibly, Chimaev, known as Boars, which translates from his native Chechen as the Wolf, now has more UFC fights than total strikes absorbed in those 2 contests, which is 2. And with at least 1 more bout planned before the end of 2022, the undefeated 26-year-old looks primed to announce his candidacy as a bona fide title challenger at 170 pounds, or potentially even a step higher on the scales. The UFC had positioned experienced submission ace Demian Maia as the next man up for Chimaev, though UFC boss Dana White second-guessed the proposed matchup when speaking to the media in Las Vegas, saying that the former world title challenger Maia may not be ready for the relative UFC novice.
That's what everybody's saying. Yeah, I know. No, this guy is special, man. It's true. So when you, all the fights that I've had, you've had guys that'll be like, yeah, I'm going to turn around. I want to turn around fast, and let me see how I feel tomorrow. Let me talk to my team. Let me do this. Let me do that. This guy's like, I want to fight again here on Fight Island. I was like, really? So you want to fight again while we're here? And he's like, yeah. So I turned him around. I called everybody and said, I'm going to do it. We're going to turn this kid around. We turn him around. He fights again, and he does it again. And it's like, yeah. Now I want to come. I want to come to Vegas, and I want to fight in Vegas. It's just I've never experienced that with anybody ever. Not even close. Not even remotely close. He might fight before Maia and fight Maia too. Maia's not going to be ready in time for this kid.
And it's not just Dana. Many UFC fighters are starting to notice Khamzat. At this point, it would be stupid not to acknowledge the man. Stephen Thompson is a clear example of a passenger for the Khamzat Chimaev hype train. Ahead of his second fight of the year, Wonder Boy weighed in on fellow welterweight Khamzat Chimaev, who has been making headlines in an interview with MMA Full Mount. According to Stephen Thompson, Chimaev is certainly skilled and a force to be reckoned with. Thompson also said that he would like to see Boars stay on his feet more instead of going for takedowns. When Wonder Boy was asked if he had boarded Khamzat Chimaev's hype train, he affirmed.
Man, but I'm telling you, I'm on the train. I think he's the real deal. He's been throwing dudes, smashing guys, throwing around Hermanson, who's known for his grappling. Most of his jiu-jitsu, not his wrestling, but still, to be able to throw a guy like that around, you got to be skilled. So I think he's got it, man. I would like to see more, more of a strike. I would love to see him just be like, hey man, I'm not going to take this guy down. I just want to strike for this guy. You know what I mean? But he's just so dominant at what he does. So he's a force to be reckoned with.
There are a lot of people who are excited about the new UFC prospect, Khamzat Chimaev. However, it seems that Daniel Cormier may be the most hyped about this undefeated fighter. Although Cormier just retired from MMA, he is still a very important part of the sport. As a UFC commentator and co-host of a weekly MMA podcast, he still has his finger on the pulse of the UFC, doing his best to keep an eye on up-and-coming fighters as they rise through the ranks. Not to mention the fact that he's beloved by many in the sport, so his opinions are generally respected and appreciated. Although he was slow to agree that recent UFC addition Khamzat Chimaev was something special, Daniel Cormier has since changed his mind. He was speaking on the DC and Helwani show when the subject of Chimaev's 17-second knockout over the weekend came up. DC could not contain his excitement as he mimicked driving the Khamzat Chimaev hype train before gushing over how impressive the Dagestani fighter has looked. From there, Daniel Cormier took things a step further. Instead of advocating for a top 5 opponent for Khamzat Chimaev, he says that the 9-0 fighter should get a title shot.
Give him a title shot. Give him, I want a title shot with you. Come on. Darren, give him a title shot. Give him a title shot. He's ready. Because when he was beating these dudes up with all the takedowns, everybody kept going, no, Daniel, his kickboxing is what he's known for.
Despite how excited Daniel Cormier is about Khamzat Chimaev, there's no reason for him to get a title shot. He has looked impressive so far, but he has not faced anyone ranked yet. There's still a lot of unknowns about his game, and perhaps we will see him tested against someone in the top 10 before he is in the title picture. But Khamzat's next opponent will be his hardest task yet. Chimaev is set to face Gilbert Burns at UFC 273. Heading into his fight with Khamzat Chimaev next month, former title challenger Gilbert Burns has claimed his welterweight rival is a little overconfident about his chances in their fight. Burns has been receiving praise from a handful of vets for his dedication and intensity towards mixed martial arts. The unbeaten Chechen-born Swede will be looking to spearhead his way into the top 5 with a win over the Brazilian on April 9th. Although Chimaev has managed to back up his confidence in the Octagon to date, Burns believes the rising star isn't taking him as seriously as he should be. During an interview with the All-Star, Darren said,
"I do believe he's a little bit overconfident. He thinks he's untouchable, never saw a loss. I've been there before, you know."
The 35-year-old then insisted that the world is going to find out if Khamzat Chimaev is as special as people think when the two meet next month.
I think these guys that see a loss on the very beginning of his career, like those guys that lost, like remember a couple guys, they lost the first fight and then they got on a crazy streak. I think those guys get a little bit more kind of familiar with the loss.
Burns is no stranger to adversity and plans on letting his experience talk in the Octagon against the much less tested Chimaev. The pair are set to lock horns on the main card of UFC 273, headlined by featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski's third title defense against the Korean Zombie. White has been very high on Chimaev since the moment he splashed on the UFC to earn 2 victories in 10 days back in July 2020. Though momentum was slowed when Chimaev needed more than a year off to recover from COVID-19 and other health issues. But he recently returned with a reminder. Chimaev dominated Li Jingliang at UFC 267 in October en route to a first-round submission win. He's been red hot in the aftermath of that fight, making headlines with callouts of everyone from Colby Covington to Brock Lesnar. There's nothing about Chimaev that's a misrepresentation, at least according to White. During an interview in a podcast, the president of the UFC revealed a few thoughts on Khamzat Chimaev. White said, "Khamzat Chimaev is one of the baddest dudes that I've ever seen come across, and is literally willing to fight anyone and doesn't care what the time frame is or any of that stuff. He's one of the baddest dudes that I've ever come across." White doesn't want to jump the gun, because he said it's legitimately difficult to secure an opponent for the unbeaten rising star. Numerous fighters, such as Gilbert Burns and Neil Magny, have publicly expressed a willingness to take the fight, but White said when it comes to Chimaev, nothing is real until contracts are signed. Dana assures that most fighters don't want to fight Khamzat. Nobody wants to fight this guy. Everybody wants to get out on social media and say this or that, but when it really comes down to it, nobody's trying to fight Khamzat Chimaev. I don't blame them, but at the end of the day, when you're a professional fighter, this is what you do. You should look at a guy with as much hype and as much bravado as Chimaev has as a huge opportunity. What do you think about Khamzat Chimaev? Is he the real deal, or is he overhyped? Who do you think will win between him and Burns? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.